Hey, what's up, guys? So, first things first, let me address the elephant in the room. I'm bald now. Quarantine has really gotten to me. This happened first weekend, maybe. Uh, I think it looks nice on me, though. Full head of hair is too high maintenance, especially for when I'm going to be at home all day anyway. So, thought might as well cut it all off, let it grow out. Either way, it is officially April, which is good for many reasons. It is April the 20th. Uh, Spring is in bloom, even though from what I see outside it is pretty gloomy. Uh, but the best thing is it is 420 for an entire month, which is just that's just good. That's just beautiful. It's amazing. So, with it being 420 for an entire month, the first thing that came to mind was to do 30 days of 420, which would include just some basic facts about marijuana, what I've learned from personal experience and stuff like that. But it's too long. I don't have that many facts. I don't think I could actually do that for 30 days. So I think I'm going to do it a weekly thing. But the first thing that I wanted to do, the first video that I wanted to make was just 5 things that I've learned while smoking weed. Or 5 things that I've learned about weed too. I mean, that could work too, but I think that's probably a topic for another video. Let's get right into the video. The first thing that I learned while smoking marijuana is that time is immeasurable, and this is a fact whether you're high, whether you're sober. Time is immeasurable, and it really is just a human construct. So the reason why I say this is there are so many times, even when you're sober, especially when you're high, that something has felt like it's been forever, even though it's only been a few minutes. Or on the contrary, something feels like it's only been a few minutes when in reality it has been forever. For an example, you're sitting on the couch watching some TV and you feel like it's been hours. Check your phone, it's only been about 20 minutes. Or, on the contrary, you binged an entire show in one sitting and you think, maybe I spent probably a few hours watching that. You're a bit delirious. Check your phone and turns out you've spent your entire night, or, on the contrary, your entire day. Spent an entire 6 hours watching the show. That is, it just shows how immeasurable time is. In a sense, time is either your best friend or it is absolutely your worst enemy, because it could definitely go so incredibly fast that you don't know what to do with that time, and it just ends up passing you by, or you don't know what exactly to do with your time and it just passes so slowly, where you just get bored and you just kind of wish it passed a bit quicker. This is something I've experienced, especially more recently, with just how much time I'm spending in my room and indoors. There's just how little freedom we have to go outside because of the whole virus situation, which absolutely sucks. But what can you do? You can't really do much. You just kind of have to accept it. So the second thing that I've learned while smoking marijuana, or rather as a result of doing so, is your body is always feeling something. let me go into that. Let me explain it a bit more, right? So, when you're high, right, when you have consumed THC or THCA or even CBD, your body has a tendency of feeling a bit more floaty, right? Feel very light, um, or on the contrary, you feel very heavy. And I've noticed that even when I haven't consumed it, sometimes I feel as such. Sometimes I feel very light and floaty and nice and groovy, and sometimes I feel very, you know, gloomy and very heavy. And that's body feeling, right? The way my body feels. Um, and the reason why I say that marijuana has taught me a lesson is because I don't think I ever felt that beforehand. Um, but I realized that your body is always feeling something, especially when you deal with emotions. Uh, when you're, this is a very weird thing to relate it to. Well, maybe not. I think a lot of people do compare these two feelings alike, being high and being in love. When you're in love, you get very floaty, right? Especially when you're around that person, you feel this sort of like nice feeling. Even if you're nervous, you feel very nice and floaty and relaxed. You feel comfortable. It's almost confidence. You feel very comfortable, even when you're nervous. You just feel nice, right? You feel nice and light. Feel like you could do anything. On the contrary, when you're very tired, your body feels that. You know, your body feels tired. You feel your arms feel like they're just big sacks of lead, and you know they hang. You can't really stand up straight. Your eyes feel incredibly heavy, and well, these are sort of effects of feelings, right? Or effects of your choices. I feel like your body is always feeling something, right? Even when you're just standing up and being still, you're feeling some sort of way. And that sort of translates into how you're feeling, right? Uh, this is a very weird sentence, especially since the feeling that I use in the first half of the sentence isn't exactly the same as the next feeling that I use in that same sentence. Um, I guess a more nuanced statement that I could say is the way you feel mentally affects the way your body feels physically. So the third thing that I have learned is, or rather something that I have thought, I don't think this is something that I've learned, rather just a mindset that I've had, is I feel like we suppress thinking. Um, Now, obviously, I don't think we suppress thinking and try to say that thinking is a bad thing. On the contrary, I think everyone knows that thinking is a good thing. But I think, uh, I feel like people sort of suppress the weird thoughts that they have, um, or the crazy, outlandish, fluid thoughts that it takes to come up with some absolutely ridiculous ideas. Uh, and I feel like that it's something that happens a lot, especially when you're high. Um, you guys have seen the memes where it's like, oh, when you hit the blunt, like the whole hits blunt. It's like, I don't know what's one that they use a lot. Uh, why do our feet smell but our noses run? You know, just stuff like that. Like it's a new form of thinking, right? Or and even I feel like people who are able to have those thoughts, they suppress them because they feel like they're almost sort of stupid, right? It's not something we think about regularly, especially in our normal everyday life. think even as goofy as you may be or as thoughtful as you may be, that is it something you actively express to your peers and people you want to connect to, even if they would find it funny. Those thoughts aren't common. I don't think that they are until you smoke. And I guess the way that I'm trying to say this is they always have these thoughts, right? These thoughts don't come from nowhere. They are definitely in your brain, but you don't release them as much until you are under the influence. I may be completely wrong in that, but I feel like that is the truth in my life. So, the penultimate, uh, yeah, the penultimate thing, number 4. The fourth thing that I've learned, or rather have noticed, is how true the statement, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is. Now, the way that I've learned or come up with this sort of thought, idea, or whatever, whatever you want to consider it, but the way that I've sort of come to see it is I never thought of myself as a really good looking person. I'll be completely honest there. But every single time that I've smoked or been high, my first, well, not my first instinct, but a consistent instinct of mine when I'm under the influence is to take pictures of myself. And I can't really explain why, but I guess the theory that I have is I did see myself as attractive, but I didn't think others would see me as such. So when I stopped caring about this other opinion other than my own, I saw myself as beautiful. And in turn, I feel like that did make me more attractive. I think that did make me better looking, because not only did I start caring about myself, but I also started putting myself out there as I started putting myself out there as a more attractive person than maybe I really am. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people should probably learn too, that maybe you are really beautiful. And I think that even if you don't see yourself as really beautiful, or even if other people won't see you as beautiful, that you should just not care. Put on a smile, take pictures of yourself. Get a little bit more confident, and you will see how beautiful you really are. Start noticing the good things about yourself, and I think good things will come. But aside looks, I also started seeing beauty in everything. I think, as ridiculous as it may sound, there's beauty in every single part of the world. Sorry. But truthfully, I believe there's beauty everywhere. I think even the wall behind me, right? This wall is beautiful. I think the cabinet where my phone stands as I record this video is beautiful. I think the rain that falls, the snow that pelts the ground, everything just has innate beauty within it. Every face is beautifully crafted. Every pair of eyes is a pair of gemstones, so rare and unique and wonderful to look at. Every mouth perfectly designed. Every tooth with so many patterns in it. Even my bed sheets have beautiful patterns within the way they sewed it together. It's incredible. It's beautiful. There's beauty in everything. So there's beauty in the way you see yourself. There's beauty in just the visual world. There's beauty in art. And the way I started appreciating art is the fact that art imitates life, but it's even more beautiful when life imitates art. There's been times where I would see just, I don't know, like a sunset, and it just seems so picturesque. Or as I was taking a walk, the river, the way that it flowed, it just felt like a Claude Monet painting. And the beauty of that connecting together, I, I loved it. And I think that's definitely a lesson that I learned specifically because of marijuana, but also other things. But I think weed was the main thing that sort of punched that into my head. So the last thing that I learned, number 5, is learning is actually really, really easy. Now, I don't think people realize how easy learning really is, and I do think that a lot of people still sort of deny the fact of learning, how easy learning really is. But I think once you break down the very fundamentals of the subject that you're learning, whatever the subject may be, it is very easy to learn that subject. So I think a good example of this is math, especially when you go into like calculus and all that. Calculus and any sort of math above algebra, I find to be extremely hard, and I think a lot of people do because that's sort of what it's meant to be. It's meant to be this sort of like really abstract art that's incredibly difficult. But I do think it becomes very easy to learn once you break it down to the very fundamentals of it. Very fundamentals of it being it's really just algebra. It's really just the very basics of math with formulas. And it's learning when to use a certain formula as opposed to another, right? So that's something that I use a lot, where if I'm trying to learn something, I try to see the very basics of it, the very fundamentals of it, and then from the very fundamentals build up to this whole complexity, like the very complex things. And the very complex things then become very easy once you know the very basics. Even something like piano for me, which even though a lot of people may say is very hard to learn, became very easy for me when I just found out about. I don't even know how it became easy to me, if I'm honest with you. I think the easiest part of it was fingering patterns, which I learned through scales. I've used like 2 scales, and I've learned a pretty good amount. Chromatics, stuff like that. Though I'm not that good at every single subject, right? Even though I'm not the best mathematician or the best piano player, I think that I'm proud of myself for at least knowing how to learn it, I guess. Where if I really wanted to, I probably could be as such, even though it would take forever. I feel like I could get to that point one day, which I'm proud of myself for that. But it takes a lot of time. So I think that is going to be it for today's video. Part 1 of 1. I'm planning on releasing another video today. Speaking of, I'm considering daily uploading. I do plan on it. I don't think I'm going to be successful in it, but I do hope I sort of but like, I hope I get the courage to actually do so, right? I hope I do actually. That's it. upload daily, and I mean, I have all the time in the world. I'm not doing anything all day, so I think I'm gonna do it. Regardless, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you disliked. So maybe I can do better. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. You guys are amazing.